Women Who Hoop, your favorite AI women's basketball podcast. Ready for another deep dive?
I'm Cage.
And I'm Jay. Today, wow, we are plunging deep into a game that truly had, well, everything. You had intense rivalries boiling over. You have fiery ejections that honestly stun the court. Standout performances for sure, but just a whole lot of drama.
Oh, yeah. On and off the court.
Exactly. We're talking about the recent clash between the Chicago Sky and the Connecticut Sun, August 23rd, 2025. And look, this wasn't just another game on the schedule right now.
Not at all.
It carried significant implications for both team seasons, obviously, but it also just ripped open some, festering tensions and these organizational questions that have fans talking across the entire league.
Definitely. There's a lot buzzing around these two teams right now.
So buckle up, because we've got a lot to unpack from our sources on this one. We're going to get into it.
Let's do it.
So let's dive into this game because, on the surface, the numbers, they look pretty straightforward at first glance.
Right.
But the stories, the narratives swirling around these two teams, totally opposite ends of the spectrum.
Absolutely. So the game itself, August 23rd, the Connecticut Sun, they beat the Chicago Sky, 94-84.
Oh.
And here's the kicker. Both teams walked onto the court with identical 927 records.
Wow, identical.
Identical. And both already knew, mathematically, playoffs were out of the picture for this season. We saw that confirmed everywhere. ESPN, WNBA standings, you name it.
Okay, so 927 each, no playoffs. Sounds like two teams kind of limping to the finish line, maybe?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. Because despite those identical records, the vibe, the whole feeling around these two franchises couldn't be more different.
How so?
Well, the Sun, they were mostly being talked about as a team that's, deliberately rebuilding. They're finding an identity, looking towards the future.
Okay, a planned rebuild. Makes sense.
Right. And get this, they came into this game riding a season-best 3-game winning streak.
3 games. For a 927 team, that's actually pretty significant momentum.
It really is. It speaks volumes about, the cohesion they were starting to find. Coach Richard Medzian had made some adjustments, tweaked the rotation. He was really focusing on players who bought into his defensive philosophy, his system.
And it was working.
Seems like it. Our sources indicated it was yielding results. You even had players saying things like, they never gave up on each other.
That says a lot about the locker room culture, especially during a tough season.
Exactly. It suggested a team that, the record wasn't great, but they were building something solid underneath, a foundation.
Okay, so on the Sun side, you've got this narrative of, purposeful rebuilding, finding an identity, positive momentum late in the year, giving fans some hope for next season.
Pretty much.
But then, the Sky, with the exact same record.
Yeah, the Sky, well, that's the stark contrast. According to a lot of critics, a lot of sources we looked at, they were battling what was bluntly called disarray.
Disarray, that's a strong word.
It is. And also deep systemic organizational problems, like fundamental issues within the franchise structure.
Wow, so it just goes to show, right, the standings, they don't always tell the whole story. Not even close.
Exactly. Identical records, but polar opposite narratives about purpose, culture, future vision. It really highlights how, sometimes a loss for a rebuilding team can actually be a step forward if they're learning, and maybe a win for a struggling team can mask deeper issues.
That's a great point. And this particular game, Sky versus Sun, it wasn't just about the standings or the rebuilds, was it? There was history there. Bad history.
Oh, absolutely. This wasn't just another game for them. It was like the next chapter in a really heated rivalry, steeped in deep personal history. And it felt like something was bound to ignite.
Yeah, you could feel that tension. Heading into this specific matchup, there was undeniable bad blood brewing. That's the phrase sources kept using.
Bad blood.
And it wasn't just, standard competition. This felt personal, fueled by stuff that happened in earlier games this season. Contentious incidents, controversial moments.
Right. It was layered with bitterness from past encounters.
And when you say contentious, I mean, that's putting it mildly. Their immediate last game before this one, the one right before August 23rd, it ended with a rare 3-way ejection.
Yeah, you almost never see that. 3 players tossed, usually from a big scuffle.
Exactly. 1 or more from each team kicked out for unsportsmanlike conduct. That level of chaos, almost unheard of in pro sports. But the real root, the thing that really lit the fuse for all this animosity, happened earlier in the season, back on June 15th.
Ah, yes, the infamous incident.
Right. Involving Connecticut's guard, Bria Hartley, and the Sky's star rookie, Angel Reese.
That's the one.
Yeah.
During a rebound attempt in that June game, Bria Hartley grabbed Angel Reese's hair.
Oh, her hair, yeah.
And Reese, obviously she was upset, immediately confronted Hartley, which, who wouldn't?
Totally understandable reaction.
And then it escalated fast. Connecticut's Olivia Nelson-Ododa jumped in. Reese responded, physically pushed her away.
And suddenly it's a whole thing. Teammates rushing in.
Both sides, trying to break it up, diffuse it. But then you had Tina Charles, the Suns veteran center, getting really animated, like really worked up.
I remember seeing that. She had to be held back, right?
Yeah, physically restrained by officials and her own teammates. It was just chaotic. A really tense scene that clearly stuck with both teams.
Yeah, I saw the clips. It was wild. And the officials, they did their thing, paused the game, went to review. Felt like forever.
Always does.
And after all that deliberation, what happened? Reese and Nelson-Ododa got technical fouls. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Standard enough after a scuffle, I guess.
Right.
But Hartley, the one who started it with the hair pull, she only got a common foul.
Mm-hmm. Just a regular foul.
And that was the part that just, raised eyebrows, really frustrated the Sky bench. Because, look, a common foul is just normal play. A tech is for unsportsmanlike stuff. A flagrant one, that's for unnecessary and excessive contact, carries bigger penalties.
And the Sky definitely felt Hartley's action warranted more.
They felt it warranted a flagrant one, absolutely, given how unnecessary it was. They felt the punishment just didn't fit the crime, basically.
And that kind of perceived injustice, that feeling of getting wronged by the refs, that can really simmer between teams. It adds another layer to the rivalry.
No doubt. But what's really fascinating and speaks volumes about Angel Reese is how she responded right after that incident in that same game.
Yeah, incredible response.
Despite the hair pull, the anger, she stayed locked in, stayed in the game, didn't let it rattle her, and then she went out and recorded her first career triple-double.
Unbelievable. 11 points, 11 assists, 13 rebounds.
And led the Sky to a win, 78-66. That's channeling frustration into fuel right there. That's a competitor.
Absolutely. It's a mark of a star player, being able to do that. Hartley, meanwhile, she got fined later by the league, $80.50.
$80.50? That seems low. For pulling someone's hair in a game.
Yeah, a lot of fans definitely thought so. Seemed like a slap on the wrist for something so visible and controversial.
And then, just to add another layer of weirdness to it all.
Oh, yeah, the viral moment.
Bria Hartley's 8-year-old son, Bryson, he defends his mom. He apparently said something like, "It's not your fault you grabbed her hair. It was way too long. It was an accident. The refs got it right."
Uh-huh. Kids say the darndest things, right?
Yeah.
But it sparked a whole debate.
It really did. You had people seriously asking, is long hair fair game in basketball? Like, what are the unwritten rules here?
Mm.
And then others were just appalled, saying it's dangerous, unsportsmanlike, doesn't matter how long the hair is.
Right. It's one of those slightly ridiculous sidebars, but it tapped into real questions about physicality and, where the line is in contact sports.
Totally. And it just added more fuel to this specific Sky Sunfire. It showed how deep this stuff runs, even gets the families involved in a way.
Yeah, it definitely solidified that sense of an ongoing feud. It wasn't just basketball anymore. It felt personal on multiple levels.
So you've got this history, this bad blood, this hair pull controversy, the previous ejections. It felt like a powder keg heading into this August 23rd game. The question wasn't if something would happen, but when.
Exactly.
And as if the personal drama wasn't enough, there were these underlying high-stakes implications humming beneath everything. Stuff about the future, specifically the draft.
Ah, yes, the draft positioning. This is where it gets strategically really interesting, especially for teams that are rebuilding or supposed to be rebuilding.
Okay, break it down for us. What was the deal with the draft?
So the Chicago Sky held a pick swap with the Connecticut Sun.
A pick swap. Okay, what does that mean exactly?
Basically, it means on draft day, the team with the better pick of the two might have to give it to the other team. Specifically, if Team A's pick ends up being higher, like say #3, and Team B's pick is #10, Team B might have the right to swap those picks. They take the #3 pick, Team A gets the #10.
Gotcha. So the team with the swap right gets the better of the two picks.
Essentially, yes. So the outcome of this specific game, Sky vs. Sun, actually mattered for who gets the better pick down the line. As one fan on Reddit put it, the goal is to beat out the Sun for draft position.
But wait, if the Sky are trying to get a better draft pick, whose pick are they improving?
That's the twist. The Sun currently own the Sky's original first-round pick for the upcoming draft. and is projected to be high, like top 5.
So the Sun own the Sky's potentially top 5 pick.
Right. Meanwhile, the Sky don't own their own first-round pick this year. That belongs to the Minnesota Lynx from a previous trade.
Hold on. So the Skies are playing potentially to make the pick they gave to the Sun worse by winning, while the pick they could get via the swap from the Sun is the one they're focused on, and their actual original pick is gone.
Bingo. It's incredibly convoluted.
That sounds incredibly frustrating for Sky fans. Like, winning might actually hurt their future draft situation in one way while helping it in another.
It's a strategic nightmare, honestly. It underscores the complex maneuvering involved, especially for rebuilding teams. For the Sun, getting that potential top 5 pick from the Sky is a huge boost. For the Sky, it's about maximizing the value of the pick they can control, which is the one they might swap from the Sun.
It almost sounds like they're playing chess with draft picks while trying to win basketball games.
Pretty much, and there's even more speculation swirling around this. One source we looked at, Sun versus Sky, Rebuilding Hopes, hinted that the Sky might not even use that valuable top 5 pick they could get from the Sun swap.
What would they do with it then?
They might trade it, package it for veteran players to try and win now, rather than drafting another young player.
Wow. Trading a potential top 5 pick when you're 9 and 27. That would be a bold move, maybe a controversial one.
Definitely controversial, especially for a team many feel needs a youth movement and a long-term rebuild. It highlights that constant tension, build slowly through the draft, or try for a quick fix with veterans.
Yeah, that decision speaks volumes about the front office's philosophy. And like we said, all these stakes, the personal history, the draft implications, they were just amplified by this moment of high drama that basically took over the game.
Let's get into the game flow itself then.
Right. So the game tips off, and it's immediately lopsided, like right out of the gate.
Oh, yeah. The Connecticut Sun came out absolutely firing, just incredibly aggressive, showing that focus we talked about. They completely dominated the first quarter.
How bad was it?
They steamrolled the Sky, outscored them 28-13 in the first 10 minutes.
28-13. Yikes. That's a hole.
A big one. And Marina Mabrey, remember, traded from the Sky. She was just on fire.
Yeah.
Scored the first 5 points of the game, had 12 points just in that first quarter.
12 in the first.
Yeah.
She was definitely cooking against her old team.
Totally. Hit a long 2, nailed a 3. She set the tone. It was a statement start for her and the Sun, showing off their offense.
And the Sky, what was their response?
Well, Sky coach Tyler Marsh admitted it himself afterwards. His team started really flat.
Flat is an understatement, down 15 after one quarter.
Exactly. That immediate deficit just put them in scramble mode from the jump, constantly playing catch-up against a team that already had history with them and was feeling confident. It's a tough spot.
Yeah, hard to dig out of that, especially with everything else swirling around.
Precisely. And that sluggish start, combined with all the existing frustrations, the bad blood, the high stakes, it all just seemed to build up and lead directly to what happened next. The flashpoint. The ejection.
Yes, the ejection. This is where things really went off the rails. Less than 5 minutes into the second quarter, boom.
Yeah.
Chicago Sky head coach Tyler Marsh gets tossed.
Yeah, sensationally ejected.
Okay.
It happened right after a play where Elizabeth Williams looked like she got fouled by Aaliyah Edwards, but there was no call.
A non-call. That's often the trigger.
And Marsh, who sources described as usually mild-mannered, he just lost it, lost all control.
What did he do?
He went right at the official, really aggressively confronting him about the non-call, and he was already on thin ice. He'd already gotten a T, a technical foul, earlier in the game for coming out onto the court to argue a different call.
Okay, so one tech already. That's playing with fire.
It's big time. So when this non-call happened and he went at the ref again and then threw his arm out in frustration, commentators noted it wasn't directly at the ref, but, close enough. That was it.
Second technical.
Immediately. Rung up for the second T, which means automatic ejection. Gone.
Wow. And wasn't Angel Reese involved in trying to calm him down?
Yeah, that was part of the drama. He had to be held back by star forward Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky coaching staff. Reese was physically trying to restrain her coach, pull him away from the officials. And predictably, it lit up the conversation online, in commentary everywhere.
How did people react? Split opinions.
Definitely split. Some YouTube comments, they saw it as Tyler showing passion. They thought Tyler Marsh was right to go off, standing up for his players when they weren't getting calls. Praised his fire.
Okay, I can see that perspective. Fighting for your team.
But others, looking at our source analysis, saw it very differently, called it a crash-out moment, like a total loss of composure, very public, very negative. And they saw it as a symptom of deeper coaching issues, deeper organizational problems for the Sky.
Right. Losing control like that, especially when your team is already struggling, it raises questions.
Big questions about his effectiveness and job security. Is this the leadership a struggling team needs? It's that fine line, right? Passion versus losing control.
Definitely. And who took over after he got ejected?
Tanisha Wright, the former Atlanta Dream head coach who was an assistant on the Sky staff, she stepped in for the rest of the game.
So an immediate leadership change on the sideline mid-game, that's disruptive.
Hugely disruptive. And it just added more fuel to the fire about the Sky's overall stability and coaching direction. Was this passion? Or was it a sign of a coach cracking under pressure?
Yeah, the debate continues. But Marsh leaving didn't exactly calm things down on the court, did it? The weirdness just kept coming.
Not at all. The game stayed heated, marked by more unusual stuff and really physical play. It just felt like that bad blood was simmering under every single possession.
And unusual how? Like, technically unusual?
Well, yeah. Get this. In the second quarter, the Connecticut Sun actually got a technical foul for having 6 players on the court.
6 players?
Exactly.
Seriously, in a WNBA game?
Seriously. 5 is the limit, obviously. It's incredibly rare, almost unheard of at the pro level. It just added to the feeling of chaos, like things were getting sloppy and out of control.
How does that even happen? Just a momentary lapse in focus and all the craziness.
Must have been. Speaks volumes about the charged atmosphere, though. But beyond the technical stuff, things got physical again.
More incidents.
Yeah, there was further controversy. Angel Reese and Layla Lacan got tangled up.
Another entanglement involving Reese?
Yep, and Lacan apparently got the worst of it. Ended up with very visible swelling above her eye. The play-by-play commentators were pretty graphic. One called her a Klingon, you know, the Star Trek aliens.
Yeah, with the forehead ridges.
Exactly. Because she had this major hickey on her face right there, that egg right there.
Yeah.
It was a nasty visual, really captured how physical things were getting.
Wow. Klingon. That paints a picture. Sounds brutal out there. More like boxing than basketball.
It felt like it at times. And it didn't stop there.
Yeah.
Later on, Marina Mabrey, again, right in the mix.
Her again. Yep.
Called for an offensive foul for elbowing Kia Nurse in the chest.
Elbow to the chest. Ouch.
And Kia Nurse was livid.
Yeah.
That's a foul. That could have been flagrant, just adding more fuel to the fire, more intensity, more scrutiny on every single contact.
Man, ejections, 6 players, swollen eyes, elbows. It sounds like the game was constantly on the verge of just completely blowing up.
It really did feel that way. Like any little thing could set off another major incident. But amidst all that chaos, players still had to play, right? And some really stepped up while others, well, their struggles highlighted the different directions these teams were heading.
Right. So let's talk individual performances. Despite the craziness, who stood out? Especially for the Sun, since they got the win.
Yeah, the Suns' victory was definitely powered by their veterans. They really were that steadying force people talked about in their rebuild narrative.
Like who specifically?
Tina Charles, for one. She led the Sun with 23 points, and incredibly, she achieved her 200th career double-double in this game.
200, that's a monumental, seriously.
It's huge. Shows her veteran touch, her consistency, her dominance over such a long, amazing career. Rebounding, scoring. She brings invaluable experience, especially to a younger team finding its way.
Okay, so Charles was huge. Who else?
Bria Hartley. Remember her from the hair pull incident?
How could I forget?
Well, she also scored 23 points, a massive offensive contribution. And you just know playing that well against the Sky, against Reese, had to feel good for her, added a whole other layer to her performance.
Yeah, a little bit of redemption maybe in her eyes. Okay, Charles and Hartley both with 23. Anyone else?
Marina Mabrey, the former Sky player, she chipped in with 20 points. Remember, she was on fire early with those 12 in the first quarter. Commentators said she was cooking against her old team. That narrative always plays out, doesn't it?
Always seems to give players extra juice. Okay, so the big 3 veterans showed up big time.
They did. And even off the bench, Sonia Rivers added 13 points. Commentators were raving about her fast, physical, a hustle man, showed their depth and energy.
So Charles, Hartley, Mabrey, Rivers, really consistent scoring across the board. No wonder they got their 3rd straight win. It sounds like that coaching philosophy, the focus on cohesion, it was really paying off.
Exactly. It suggests their rebuild is actually building something tangible. They found a rhythm, a system that works for them, making the most of a tough season to build good habits.
Okay, so the Sun look like they're figuring things out, finding their identity. Now let's flip to the Sky. Same record coming in, but a different story playing out. How did their players perform amidst the chaos?
Well, it was definitely more of a mixed bag for Chicago, and frankly, more controversial. Despite the loss, you have to give them credit. They showed resilience. They actually won the second, third, and fourth quarters individually.
Really? They won the last 3 quarters but still lost the game?
Yep, that deep hole they dug in the first quarter was just too much to overcome. But it shows they didn't just roll over after the ejection and the rough start. They fought back.
Okay, so who contributed during that fight back? Angel Reese.
Angel Reese, yeah. She finished with 11 points and 11 rebounds, another double-double for her, plus 5 assists. And like we mentioned, she showed leadership trying to hold back Coach Marsh.
Solid numbers. But I know there was some debate online about her performance, right? Some fans saying she wasn't aggressive enough.
There was. Yeah, some YouTube comments are like, why y'all keep saying Angel wasn't aggressive? Maybe I need to understand what your definition of aggressive is.
So what's the context there? Was she really not aggressive, or was something else going on?
Well, here's the crucial context. Sources pointed out this was only her third game back from a back injury, an injury that commentators were convinced was not fully healed.
Ah, the back injury.
Really should apparently see it in her movement, described as this scoop, that little sloop foot thing where she's barely moving. Her back was clearly still bothering her. So playing through that pain, of course, is going to impact her usual explosiveness and aggression.
That makes a huge difference. Playing through an injury like that is tough for anyone.
Absolutely. And then adding to the whole situation, interim coach Tanisha Wright benched her for most of that fourth quarter.
Benched her in the fourth after a double-double, even if maybe playing hurt. Why?
That's the question commentators were asking. It seems like a strange decision given her importance and production. Was it managing the injury? Was it a coaching strategy? It definitely raised eyebrows.
Yeah, confusing. Okay, besides Reese, who else stepped up for the Sky?
Kamilla Cardoso had a strong showing. 18 points, 5 assists. She was described as aggressive, scored the Sky's first 6 points in that second quarter comeback attempt. And the Suns coach even praised her for running the floor like a guard.
Wow, high praise for a center. Shows her athleticism.
Definitely. She looked like a real bright spot, a potential cornerstone. And then there was Kia Nurse.
Kia Nurse. Okay, I know there's been chatter around her contract and performance this season. How did she do in this game specifically?
Statistically, she was very effective, led the Sky with 19 points, shot efficiently 6 for 10 from the field, including an impressive 5 for 9 from three-point range.
5 threes. Okay, that's good shooting.
Yeah, one play-by-play commentator even called her the Sky player of the game based on her offense.
Okay, solid stats, player of the game mentioned. But I feel like I've seen some really harsh criticism of her online. How do you square that criticism with a 19.53 performance?
That's a perfect example of the disconnect, right? The stats look great in this one game, but the fan commentary suggests maybe a deeper frustration. Maybe about her overall season consistency, maybe her defense, maybe just her perceived fit or attitude, the pride in winning comment. It highlighted how fans judge players on more than just the box score, especially when a team is losing and a player has a big contract.
Right. It's about the whole picture, not just one game stats. Were there other players getting heat?
Oh, yeah. Rachel Banham and Sefiu Uzun, they face a lot of criticism in the comments. Called out for bad decisions. Uzun apparently had a costly turnover, perceived lack of defense, just generally ineffective play. Some fans were even saying bench them immediately, put Ariel Atkins at the point. Shows how desperate fans were for changes.
Man, tough night for some of those players. So a real mix for the Sky. Some bright spots like Cardoso, Reese playing through injury, Nurse scoring but drawing criticism. Sounds messy.
Very messy. And beyond the individual lines, some key matchups and fundamental team errors really told the story of why they lost.
Okay, like what matchups?
Well, the battle between Angel Reese and Anissa Morrow was fascinating. They were teammates at LSU, right?
Yeah.
So they know each other's games inside and out.
Oh, right. Practice battles every day. That adds spice.
Totally. Described as a back-and-forth battle, Morrow was called a tenacious dog who knows Angel's game. Commentators said Morrow is strong as hell. She's just as strong as Angel, and she is not going to give up on trying to get her lick back on the next possession.
You can just picture that intensity, knowing every tendency, every move. Must have been fun to watch that one-on-one.
Absolutely. That personal history just adds an edge. But ultimately, for the Sky as a team, the individual battles didn't matter as much as the basic execution problems.
The fundamentals, what went wrong there?
Well, interestingly, they actually out-rebounded the Sun, 32-28, which you usually like to see.
Okay, so rebounding wasn't the issue.
Nope. The killer issues were twofold. First, poor free throw shooting. They shot just 15 for 26 from the line. That's 57.7%.
Oof. leaving almost half your free points on the table. That kills you.
It really does, especially in a game that wasn't a total blowout score-wise, but even worse, turnovers. A high turnover rate. They had 19 turnovers in the game.
19! Wow, that's a lot of wasted possessions.
And it wasn't just wasted possessions. Those turnovers directly led to 26 points for the Sun, points off turnovers.
26 points just off turnovers. That's the dagger right there. Almost a third of the Suns' total score came directly from sky mistakes.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the Suns were efficient, especially at the free throw line, 18 for 22. And the Sky's poor perimeter defense was mentioned again as a recurring problem, giving the Sun easy looks.
So, yeah, missed free throws, tons of turnovers leading to easy points for the other team, shaky defense. It doesn't matter how hard you fight in other areas, those fundamental flaws will sink you almost every time.
Pretty much. It overshadows the resilience, overshadows the individual bright spots. It points to deeper systemic issues that need fixing. You just can't win consistently playing like that.
Which brings us to the bigger picture, right? Because after looking at the game, the history, the stats, it feels like the Sky's problems go way beyond just one loss. There's a lot of heat directed upstairs, isn't there, at the front office?
Oh, absolutely. The scrutiny on general manager Jeff Pagliuca is intense right now, bordering on outright condemnation from many fans and analysts we sourced.
And the main charge seems to be
Roster construction malpractice. That's the phrase that keeps popping up.
Yeah.
People are directly linking the team's struggles to his leadership, his decisions.
Okay, malpractice. That's serious. What specific decisions are people pointing to?
Well, a big one is the firing of the previous coach, Teresa Weatherspoon Teaspoon.
Right. She was only there one season, wasn't she?
Exactly. Fired after her first season simply because the team missed the playoffs. But critics argue she was given an unbuilt, unfinished, unproven rookie team. Many felt she actually overachieved with what she had and absolutely deserved a second year.
Yeah, I remember that sentiment. Like, she was set up to fail but did better than expected.
Precisely. One commenter used that great analogy. She was given a pile of seasonings and told her, go make some gumbo with it.
Yeah, captures the impossible task perfectly. So firing her seemed premature, maybe unfair to many?
Very much so. It suggested a lack of patience, maybe a misunderstanding of what a real rebuild takes. And then who does Pagliuca hire?
Rookie coach Tyler Marsh.
Right. And under Marsh, the team's record has actually gotten worse, tied for last in the conference now. And then you have the ejection we just talked about. It just fuels more questions about Marsh's job security and whether he was the right hire in the first place.
And some people think Pagliuca is pulling the strings behind Marsh.
Yeah, that comment about Marsh being a puppet and Jeff has his strings highlights that perception. The idea of GM interference in coaching, which is almost always a recipe for disaster, it just paints a picture of instability from the top down.
Okay, so questionable coaching changes. What about player moves? Any criticisms there?
Plenty. Trading Marina Mabrey, seen by many as a horrible move. She was their best shooter, arguably. Losing that kind of offensive weapon, questionable.
Especially when she goes to a rival and cooks against you.
Exactly. Then there was the decision to give the keys to the kingdom, so to speak, to Courtney Vandersloot, a 35-year-old point guard who'd been a bench player elsewhere, then got injured. That move was heavily criticized for the cost and the immediate lack of return.
Relying on an aging, injured player when you're rebuilding, yeah, doesn't seem ideal.
And then giving all your money to Kia Nurse. That comparison to giving a second-string receiver a max NFL contract really resonated. It suggested a major overpay, misjudging her value, and tying up valuable cap space that could have been used differently.
Wow. So coaching hires, trades, free agent signings, It sounds like a pattern of questionable decisions, according to these critics.
That's the narrative. And it even spilled into the game itself. Pagliuca did a mid-game interview during that broadcast.
Oh, yeah. How did that go over?
Poorly, apparently. Widely criticized online as lying to Chicago Sky fans, showing contentment with the team's poor record. Fans were reportedly mad. It just showed a huge disconnect between the front office and the fan base's frustration.
Yikes. You can't sound content when your team is at the bottom. That's rule number one, probably.
Pretty much. It all feeds into that idea. The fish rots from the head. The theory that organizational problems start at the top, leadership issues leading to coaching instability, poor roster moves, and ultimately poor performance on the court.
And you mentioned comparing them to other teams, like the Mystics.
Right. You look at a team like Washington, also young, also rebuilding, but seemingly having more success, a clearer plan with their young core. It suggests there is a blueprint the Sky could be following, but aren't. It raises big questions about the Sky's long-term vision, or lack thereof.
And all this turmoil, this instability, these questions about leadership, it must affect the players, right? Especially the young stars they're supposed to be building around, like Reese and Cardoso.
Absolutely. It raises serious questions about their long-term future with the team. Angel Reese herself publicly said something like, "A lot of us aren't going to be on this team next year together."
Wow. Well, that's pretty blunt, coming from your star rookie.
It really is. It signals potential major roster upheaval, but also maybe a lack of faith or permanence within the organization, even from the player's perspective.
And there's that feeling, right, that their potential is being wasted.
Yeah, a strong sentiment from commentators that Reese and Cardoso's potential is hindered by the team's poor organizational structure. Like, their talent can only take them so far if the system around them is broken. It feels like a waste.
And that awful speculation I heard that maybe Pagliuca sees Reese more as a ticket seller than a franchise player.
Yeah, that perception is out there. And if true, it's just devastating. For a player bringing so much energy, so many new eyes to the team and the league, you build around that player, you don't just market them.
Totally. And didn't Reese comment on another player's post about doing what's best for you?
Brittany Sykes' post. Reese's comment definitely got noticed. Sounds like a player keeping your options open, maybe sending a subtle message.
Yeah, you read between the lines there. And the idea that if they trade Cardoso, Reese might ask out too.
That was direct speculation from commentary. If they do trade Kamilla, I think Angel will ask for a trade like after that. It shows how precarious things feel. Concerns about loyalty, about whether the organization is truly committed to its young cornerstones.
Man, you see her picture plastered all over the arena, the face of the franchise, but behind the scenes, maybe not getting the strategic respect or the right pieces around her. That's tough.
Especially when you remember she's still playing through that back injury, showing resilience, playing through pain. The organization owes her support, protection, a plan.
Right. If you can't keep your young stars happy, healthy, and developing, what is the plan? What are you building?
And predictably, this has soured things with the fans, hasn't it?
Oh, big time. Fan frustration is described as being at an all-time high. It's not just grumbling, it's translating into action.
Like, season ticket holders not renewing. That's a huge red flag. They're citing the lack of a competitive product, a feeling that the organization isn't serious about winning.
Wow. Losing season ticket holders. That hurts the bottom line and sends a powerful message.
Absolutely. The team gets labeled the worst roster, not a serious organization about winning. That's brutal.
And you see it in the comments online. Those quotes are just painful. Every team, even expansion teams, beat the Sky. But not just beat them, destroy them. Where's the honor?
Gut-wrenching stuff for fans to write.
Or the calls, fire the coach, bring back Spoon, and that season ticket holder saying, I didn't renew, refused to give my money to an organization that isn't trying to win. That's about as direct as it gets.
It shows a deep disillusionment, a loss of trust that's really hard to earn back. And it ties into debates about the team culture, too.
How so? What are people saying about the culture?
Well, it's interesting. Some commentary suggests the Sky's veterans might be selfish, not looking for the young stars, Angel and Kamilla, when they're open, prioritizing their own shots.
That would definitely hinder development and chemistry.
Right. And this contrasts with some superficial takes that maybe the locker room is better this year, or they like each other more. Just because there is an open conflict doesn't mean the culture is healthy or conducive to winning.
That's a good point. Harmony isn't everything.
Exactly. One commentator argued forcefully that you need some conflict, some dogs in the locker room for a winning culture. They pointed to Jordan's Bulls, Kobe's Lakers teams, known for intense, demanding, sometimes abrasive internal dynamics that pushed everyone.
So the idea is that maybe being too nice or avoiding conflict isn't actually helpful, that you need that competitive fire even if it causes friction.
That was the argument, that a certain level of intense competitive drive, even if it leads to some internal clashes, might be necessary to reach the absolute highest level. It challenges that idea that perfect harmony is the only path to success.
It's provocative, makes you think, what is the ideal team culture? So what stands out to you about all this? The fan anger, the culture debate. Is conflict really necessary?
It's a complex question. It's not about being toxic, obviously. But maybe it's about fostering accountability, a relentless drive that isn't always comfortable. Finding that balance is key, and it seems the Sky haven't found it.
Yeah, seems like they're far from finding it. And just to complicate everything even further for the Sky, there's this big league-wide issue looming, right?
The elephant in the room for the entire WNBA right now. the looming WNBA work stoppage.
Okay, a potential work stoppage. How does that impact a team like the Sky specifically?
Well, it adds a massive layer of uncertainty on top of all their existing problems. A work stoppage could change everything. Player contracts, the salary cap, free agency rules, how teams operate. The whole collective bargaining agreement could be renegotiated.
So, just when they desperately need a clear plan for a rebuild, the actual rules of rebuilding might completely change.
Exactly. It makes long-term planning incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
How do you sign players? How do you manage the cap? How do you approach the draft or trades if you don't know what the financial or regulatory landscape will look like next season or the season after?
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare for a GM, especially one already under fire. It could delay or derail any attempt at a coherent rebuild.
Precisely. It could affect their ability to attract free agents who wants to sign with a struggling team facing organizational chaos and league-wide uncertainty. It could even impact retaining the players they want to keep. It just compounds every single problem they already have.
A perfect storm of internal chaos and external uncertainty. Okay, so wrapping this all up. Considering the deep systemic issues in the Sky organization, the fan frustration being at rock bottom, and this potential league-wide work stoppage adding another massive question mark. If you had to pick one thing, the absolute first, most critical change the Chicago Sky need to make to even begin turning this ship around and becoming a serious contender again, what would it be?
Yeah, what a deep dive. That was a lot. A truly tumultuous game and season for both Chicago and Connecticut.
For sure.
From that rivalry history and the wild ejections to these ongoing debates about the GM, the coaching, the player futures, so much to unpack.
Absolutely. And it really makes you wonder, like we were just discussing, with all that fan frustration, the clear organizational challenges, what do you listening think? What's the most immediate, most vital step the Sky need to take? Is it leadership change? A clear out of veterans? Something else?
And on the flip side, for the Sun, they seem to be finding this new identity. What does that mean for their playoff hopes next season? Especially knowing they likely have a high draft pick coming, potentially from the Sky.
Yeah, lots of questions still swirling. We'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this. Anything that stood out to you from our deep dive today? Drop us a comment below. Let us know what you think.
Please do. We'd love hearing from you.
And hey, if you enjoyed this discussion, if you like these deep dives into women's basketball, please do us a huge favor. Like this video and subscribe to our channel.
Yep. Your support really does help us keep bringing you this kind of content. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening to The Women Who Hoop.
We appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next time.